Good morning, all. I am Miss Simmons, and I will be your bio teacher for today. So last week we talked about the Rocky Shore ecosystem, and today we will be talking about the pine forests, the Bahamian pine forests. So I will start screen sharing now to show my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so like I said, our topic is going to be the Bahamian pine forest ecosystem. Our objectives for today: A, identify some of the characteristics of the Caribbean pine tree. B, identify the pine forest as a fire climax community. C, explain why the pine forest is an important ecosystem to the Bahamas. So now let's look at the Caribbean pine tree. So the Bahamian pine tree, or the Caribbean pine tree, also called the yellow pine, occurs on the northern islands of the Bahamas. These are Grand Bahama, Andros, New Providence, and Abaco. They also were said to be grown on the Berry Islands, and they also occur in the Turks and Caicos Islands as well. So that's where those pine forest, or that ecosystem, usually grows. You have a lot of birds living inside of this ecosystem, a lot of reptiles like lizards and snakes, and also there are a lot of insects that live inside of this ecosystem. It is a very biodiverse ecosystem. Areas of the pine forest which are protected are the Rand Nature Center and the Lucay National Park in Grand Bahama, and the Abaco National Park in southern Abaco. So this is a picture of a pine forest in the Bahamas. So when you're traveling to the airport, there are a lot of pine forests there. As you're driving down the road, you could see that there's a large area with lots of pine trees growing up, and then you also have that little understory closer to the ground with lots of shorter trees or shorter shrubs and bushes. Bahamians usually call any type of forest the bush. So now the Caribbean pine, or the yellow pine. The scientific name for the Caribbean pine is Pinus caribea, or Pinus bahamensis. The bahamensis refers to them being found naturally in the Bahamas. All right. They are very light. They are very light demanding species, so they require a lot of light. And remember that light is something needed for photosynthesis. So now, smaller pine trees, they need a lot of light to grow. You see those tall ones, they don't really have to compete a lot for light because they're very tall. Of getting rid of that understory and allowing its juvenile pine trees to get enough sunlight so that they may grow big and strong like the adults. So now the Bahamian pine forests are what we call a fire climax community. That means that the pine forest will periodically catch fire. So once in a while, you would see these ecosystems catch fire. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. The Caribbean pine has a substance in its bark called resins. And when these fires occur, these resins explode and they would actually put out any nearby fires. But the periodic fires are important because it gets rid of that understory that I talked about. So those bushes and those shrubs, they need to be burned so that those juvenile pines can get enough sunlight and be able to grow into adult trees. So fire climax community, that means that this community or this ecosystem periodically catches fire. And the adult pine trees, they are able to withstand this fire because of the resins inside their bark that create small explosions when heated so that nearby fires will be put out and the tree won't get any more damage or won't be subject to any more damage. So now let's dig into the history of the pine forest ecosystem in the Bahamas. So it has been used by Bahamians for hundreds of years. So we use the pine tree for lumber. We use the wood as lumber. We could use it as firewood to build our houses and whatnot. And this large-scale commercial exploitation started in the early 1900s. So they would go and they would cut down some of the trees in the pine forest. And when those pine trees or when those pine lands have been depleted of their pine trees, they actually used to move the sawmill to another location or move their area of, they would move to another pine land so that they can cut down the pine trees there. So now, as they kept doing this, because they kept doing this and the demand became so great, they did not let the trees really come to an adult status. They would actually start to cut down immature trees, which weren't really the right diameter for lumber making. So they would use these immature trees, they would grind them up and create pulp for paper making. They would make pulp for paper making. We all know that paper is made out of trees. Okay, so the pine forest is actually a very important ecosystem for the Bahamas. So, like I said, the pine trees can be used as lumber for wood. Can be cut down for lumber and also for paper making, recreational, because Bahamians would hunt the wild boar that's very numerous inside the Family Islands. Also, bird watching. A lot of people, a lot of tourists actually would come to the Bahamas to watch birds, to go bird watching. There are many different types of birds inside the Bahamas. A lot of these birds are migratory birds. That means that they have migrated or they came from another part of the world and came here because of our climate during the winter. And also the pine forests are important because it is an environment for wildlife. Many animals live in the pine forest. The ecosystem is very diverse. And remember what biodiversity means. That means that it means that the ecosystem has a large number of different organisms or different species. So now I'm going to stop right here. Are there any questions? Can anybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Okay, great. Are there any questions? So everything was clear? Does Long Island have a pine forest? I don't think so. I think they're usually found in the Northern Islands, so that's Grand Bahama, New Providence, and Ross Abaco, and in the Turks and Caicos. I'm not sure if they have like a large pine forest ecosystem. How does a wildfire start in the pine forest ecosystem? So a wildfire can start by, okay, say if you have some dry leaves in the area that fall off of some of the bushes and some of the plants, so dry leaves. Now say that the sun is very hot, there hasn't been rain for a while. These trees, because of the hot sun, these dry plants, these dry leaves can actually catch fire. So with the fire climax communities, what did you say the adults produce to stop the fire? Okay, so inside the adult pine trees, they have resins. Inside the bark of the adult pine trees, they have these things called resins. And resins are these volatile substances that when heated, so when the fire comes close and the heat starts to heat up those resins, these resins would actually explode. And when this explosion happens, it'll actually put out some of the fire that may be around that tree. Good morning, I'm having difficulty hearing what you are saying. I'll try to speak louder for you, okay? So let me just repeat what I said. So with the fire climax communities, the resins in the adult pine tree bark, when they become heated by the fire, they actually explode, and during this explosion, because of this explosion, they would put out any nearby fires around them so that the tree doesn't accumulate any more damage. Can pollution start fires like glass, etc.? Yes, so we know about magnifying glasses and whatnot, right? So glass, when sun hits the glass, it actually concentrates that light from the sun, and it can actually cause a fire. So that is possible for glass to start a fire. What is the scientific name for pine? The scientific name for the pine is Pinus carabea bahamensis. Sorry to have bothered you I'm in science. BJC, can you help me please to find a class because I can't find any. Okay, so for you, you would go on to secondary. On the virtual learning side, you would go on to secondary. You would click your grade, and then it should point you to it would give you your schedule, and you would click on the class that you would have during this time. I just reached, what is the topic? So the topic is the pine forest ecosystem. Any more questions? Which island has the most pine forests in the Bahamas? I think it's Abaco. I'm not sure though. I think it's Abaco or Andros. Yes, we are only doing pine forest today. Okay, so if there are no more questions, what were the pine trees mainly used for? So back in the day, the pine trees were mainly used for lumber. So they cut down the pine trees to use for wood, maybe to build houses or anything else. But when they started cutting down all the pine trees, they couldn't wait for them to grow into adults anymore. They used to cut down the pine trees, and then use that immature pine tree they used it for paper making. So they grind it up into a pulp and use it for paper making. So how do you turn in the assignment? So the assignment can be turned in onto the website, the virtual learning website. Oh, so somebody corrected me. It is actually Grand Bahama that has the most pine trees or pine forests. So what's the assignment? So the assignment is posted on the virtual learning website. So you would click on where you see the lesson resources. Under the PowerPoint, I have the PowerPoint is actually posted on the website. So under it, you would see the word worksheet. All right. So now, if there are no more questions, let me wait a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds. See if any more questions come in. Any more questions? Okay, doesn't look like it. So I want to show you guys a video, and what this video showcases, do Lambisaurus eat pine? Oh, I don't know. I am not sure what type of animal a Lambiosaurus. I am not sure what that is. Can you turn it in by picture? I don't think that it's the best way to turn in the assignment, but I think you can upload it. So they still make the pulp to make paper. I think they still do that. Or they may use another tree that's in more abundance. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a video showcasing the animals inside the Bahamian pine forest.
One of the most spectacular and important terrestrial ecosystems in the Bahamas is the Bahamian pine woodlands, also known as the pines. The dominant tree species in this habitat is the Caribbean pine, and we have a special variety found only in the Bahama archipelago, and it goes by the scientific name Pinus carabea bahamensis. This variety is found on only a few islands in the archipelago, namely the northern Bahamian islands of Abaco, Grand Bahama, New Providence, and Andros, as well as a few islands in the Turks and Caicos. In the Bahamas, this ecosystem is the dominant plant community on those four northern islands, covering hundreds of acres of land. The Pinelands is a fire-dependent ecosystem and requires fire every few years to minimize competition from the coppice understory, often seen growing under the pine trees. Without fire, the coppice understory would eventually grow and outcompete the pine trees for resources. Despite the regular and sometimes intense fire regimen, life still abounds in pine woodlands of the Bahamas. And in this video, we're going to talk a little bit more about the variety of different species you could find in this amazing ecosystem called the Bahamian Pinelands. The Bahamian Pinelands is home to 5 of our 6 endemic bird species. One of them is the Bahama oriole. This species is found only on the island of Andros and is our most critically endangered bird, with a current population of less than 300 individuals. It was also found on the island of Abaco, but was extirpated off of the island in the 1990s. The Bahama wood-star hummingbird has the largest endemic bird species distribution in the Bahamas and can be found from Grand Bahama straight down to Ackman's and Crooked Island near Guana, as well as the Turks and Caicos Islands. This endemic species feeds on nectar and small insects and is found in the Bahamian Pinelands. If you are in the Bahamian Pinelands and you listen carefully, you may hear the call notes and song of another Bahamian endemic, the Bahama yellowthroat. This small warbler can be found on several islands in the Bahamas and was sadly extirpated off of New Providence in the 1990s. Another Bahamian bird that you can find in the Bahamian Pinelands is the Bahama swallow. In the Pinelands, this endangered Bahamian endemic nests in holes of pine trees that were created by the hairy woodpecker. One of the most important bird species in the Pinelands is the hairy woodpecker. This species can be heard drilling into pine trees, both alive and dead, and other trees in its search for insects hiding within the bark and wood. The woodpecker has a strong, sturdy beak with a spongy skull to absorb the shock of constant drilling. The woodpecker's brain is also tightly encased within the skull to prevent its brain from getting damaged. The tail feathers are also strong and sturdy to support the bird as it drills into trees. It also has a long barbed tongue with sticky saliva to help it draw insects out of the wood. Of the 3 native species of hummingbirds found in the Bahamas, the Cuban emerald is probably the most common species found in the Pinelands. This species is a beautiful metallic green with black and white, and like its relative, the Bahama woodstar, it can be found feeding on a variety of species of flowers. The Cuban emerald can also be found eating small insects to get added protein to help supplement its diet. The Cuban peewee is a small and very active flycatcher found in the Bahamian Islands. It feeds on a variety of insects and usually catches them while flying, and has a white crescent at the back of its eye, which gave it the name crescent-eyed peewee. This species is found throughout the Bahamas and Cuba and is an endemic Bahamian subspecies. The Greater Antillean bullfinch is another endemic subspecies found in the Bahamian Pinelands. It feeds on seeds, snails, and fruit, such as the fruit of this metopium tree, or poisonwood tree. Poisonwood seeds and fruits contain proteins and lipids that help to supplement the nutritional requirements of birds like bullfinches and even white-crowned pigeons. This makes poisonwood, although a poison tree to humans, a very important food source for birds such as white-crowned pigeons and Greater Antillean bullfinches. One of the most colorful native birds in the Bahamas is the western spindalis. There are 2 subspecies that are endemic to the Bahamas, and they can be found in the Pinelands, as well as the coppice forests and residential areas. This species feeds on fruits, flowers, and insects. During the spring and summer, plants such as guana berry come into fruiting season and is a welcoming treat for the western spindalis. The fruit, however, is often too big for the birds to swallow, so often they pick the fruit only to drop it. The turkey vulture is a species that is found on the islands of Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Andros. It is a carrion feeder, which means it eats dead animals, and can be seen soaring and riding air currents, keeping its eyes and nose open for dead animals and garbage. By flying high in the air, they can pick up plumes of odors and hone in on the smell by flying in circles. Unlike most birds, turkey vultures have an exceptional sense of smell. Their nose is so keen that they can smell the odor of a dead animal as faint as the part air. The Bahamian pine woodlands is also home to a wide variety of other species of animals. The polymated snail is one of the few species of terrestrial gastropods that can be found in the Bahamas and in the pine woodlands. Lizard species, such as this Cuban twigano, can also be found in the pinelands. This species is very cryptic and often hides on the branches or twigs of plants, using its gray color to blend in with the plant it hides on. Its relatively short limbs make it a reasonably slow-moving animal compared to some of its relatives. Thus, it relies on camouflage to help it evade predators. The Bahamian green anole is an endemic Bahamian lizard species that can be found throughout the Bahamas. This species is usually found in the crowns of trees. This particular individual is not green because not too far from it is a brown anole, and its presence may be stressing this particular individual. It may also be trying to blend in with its surroundings because being on or near the ground does make lizards more susceptible to predation. So keeping a low profile may help it survive. One such predator that is always on the lookout for a tasty lizard snack is the Bahamian racer. This fast-moving species of snake can grow up to 4 feet long and is endemic to the Bahamas. It is our only venomous snake and feeds primarily on lizards and frogs. The Bahamian Pinelands is one of the most important terrestrial ecosystems in the Bahamas and is the home for hundreds of species of plants and animals. The more we learn about ecosystems like this, the better suited we will be to protecting and conserving habitats like this. By supporting conservation efforts in the Bahamas, you too can assist in protecting all that's ours.
Okay, so great. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do any of you have any questions? The turkey vulture can be found in Andros and Abaco, but not over here. For some reason, you are not able to see the turkey vulture over here. Where is the work? Okay, was anybody not able to hear the video? What is our topic? Our topic is the Bahamian pine forest. What is the name of the video so I can watch it later? So the name of the video is the Bahamian Pinelands. The Bahamian Pinelands. I know he said the snake only looks for frogs and lizards, but will they harm humans or are they scared of us? So if you go and you bother a snake, they'll probably react hostile to you. So if you go and you invade a snake's space, then the snake may actually lash out and try to bite you. But the Bahamian racer, even though it is venomous, it only really gives you like a little mild irritation. It's not something that's lethal, sorry. So if you could not hear the video is available on YouTube. It is called the Bahamian Pinelands. So now for those of you looking for the assignment, I'm going to start screen sharing. So also my school starts at 9:45, so I will have to leave. Will I be able to rewatch it? So yes, you will be able to rewatch it. A recording of the session will be posted on the virtual website later on today or maybe tomorrow. So for those of you asking for the assignment, I will start screen sharing and show you where you can find the assignment. Okay, so we know we have our virtual learning portal. This is our website. This is the virtual learning site. Then you would click on secondary, grade 10. And the schedule will come up. Today is Monday, and the live class is now, and then you would click here for lesson resources. So here you'll find the PowerPoint that we went through during the session. And you see this little word right here. Oh, worksheet. So the worksheet should be up later today, but it's working right now. But a worksheet will be up later on today. And that is how you will be able to find the worksheet. If our regular teacher sends us work for our school, do we have to do the work here too? I would recommend that you do the work here as well. How do we get there? Okay, one more time, I'm going to show you how to get the worksheet. On the virtual website, you would go on to secondary, then click grade 10. After you click grade 10, the schedule pops up. And this is period 1, biology. And you click here for lesson resources. This page pops up. As you can see, well, it hasn't loaded yet, but PowerPoint up the Bahamian pine forest. And then today, or maybe tomorrow, the worksheet will be available for you to do. Now, after you finish your worksheet, you will be able to submit it. In order to submit your worksheet, you would go back to this page right here. So this learning schedule for grade 10, and scroll down, and you would see submit assignments. So you would fill in the information, and then you could click choose file, choose your file, your assignment that you've done, and then you can submit it. All right? Where can the snakes be found? So they would be found mostly, you can find them other places besides the pine forest, but they would be on the ground, maybe under some rocks, maybe in like a little opening in a rock. The assignment should be up either later on today or tomorrow. Are there any more questions? So how do we get there? You mean to the Bahamian pine forest? Oh, some turkey vultures, somebody corrected me, some turkey vultures are found in the east end. What's the assignment? The assignment is a worksheet, so let me show you the assignment. That should be later on today. So this is the assignment that will be posted on later on today or tomorrow, or should be available by tomorrow. Only 7 questions, and all of the answers can be found in the PowerPoint on the web. Was pine used for medical reasons? Yes, pine was used for medical reasons. They used it as a tea, or they can use pine oil when cuts and other wounds, to treat cuts and other wounds. Do we still use pine trees for lumber and firewood now? I think it is less common to use them for lumber and firewood now. So in our next class, we will be looking at some of the threats to the pine forest ecosystem in the Bahamas. That will be covered next class. Okay, so pine trees, they used to be thicker back in the day. So the more spaced out, or the more space between pine trees, the thicker in diameter they would grow. So when you see pine trees going close together, that means they won't really grow as thick in diameter as they would if they were further apart. So they used to be thicker in diameter, and they were very good. They were they're reasonably strong to use as lumber. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in. Please stay safe and have a great day. All right? Thank you.
Hey, Cindy, I had so much fun Easter Monday. We had an Easter egg hunt in my backyard. And guess who won the hunt? Me! Hey, RJ, that is so good. I'm sorry I missed it. But guess what? I am so excited about what is going to happen today. Happening today? What's happening I don't know about? Boy, you didn't hear? Miss Williams taking us on she's taking us exploring. And we are going to be looking at habitats. Habitats? What that is? Boy, RJ, I don't know. But whatever it is, I can't wait. I'm sure Mrs. Williams will tell us what it's all about. So let's go, get ready, let's get going! Yeah! Well, hello boys and girls. How are you doing today? Now, just like Sydney said, we have a trip planned today. We are going to explore habitats. Do you know what habitats are? No? Okay. So, I'm going to give you a clue. I am in my habitat now. Right where I am, this is my habitat. Where you are is your habitat. Do you think you know the answer? Not quite there. Okay, I'll give you some more clues. My habitat provides me with what I need. It gives me shelter. It gives me food. I have water. I have air. Now, do you know what it is? Yes, you are absolutely correct. My home, where I live, is my habitat. So where you live is a habitat. So that is just a fancy word that means home. Now, boys and girls, let me ask you a question. Do you value your habitat or your home? I am sure you do. Remember, the word value means it's important to you. And anything we value, we must take good care of it. How do you take care of your home? Right. You sweep it up and you make sure it's nice and clean always. You don't drop garbage on the floor. You don't break your windows and you don't destroy your doors and stuff. You take good care of it. And that is how you show that you appreciate your home or your habitat. You got it. Now, just the way we have a habitat, animals, plants have habitats, right? And remember, it's a home where they live. Now, let's think about some animals. First one, a fish. Where would you find a fish? Yes, in the ocean or in the water. That is the fish habitat. Now, what about a snake? Yes, you would find snakes in the bushes, around your houses. That is the habitat for the snake. And how about, let's think. How about a hibiscus flower? Yes, you will find a hibiscus flower growing in your yard. And that is the habitat for that flower. Now, let's think about the animals and the plant that we talk about. Do they live inside of your homes? Like in a house where we live? No. Where would you find them? You are absolutely correct when you say outside. So, now you know why we're going exploring. Let's go, boys and girls. I'm sure you're ready. Let's go. Boys and girls, here I am. This is a habitat. Right where I'm standing. What do you see? Okay. Bushes? Yes, bushes. These bushes, they have a special name. A lot of tall trees grow here. These are pine trees. So this is called a pine forest. This is a habitat. Remember, a habitat is a place where animals and plants live. And so you can see the plants here, right? Now, animals are here also. What kind of animals you think live here? Remember we talked earlier about a snake? There's a snake living here, maybe in a hole under the rock somewhere in the trees. So snakes live here. Then you have spiders with their webs. Their webs are here. They live here. Then we have birds, of course. Birds live in the tree. They make their nest up in the trees. And then we have raccoons. We have lizards living here. We have insects. All of the insects you could name. The bees, the wasps, the butterflies. all the insects you could name. And then we have lizards here. So you see a whole lot of animals live here. And they depend on their habitat for all the things that they need. Now, sometimes the action of humans, when I talk about humans, mean me and you, we destroy the habitat. We make it bad for the animals live here and their habitat. Now, how do you think we destroy the habitat? Okay, I'm going to give you a word. You may not know it. It's pollution. And that's a big word, means that we make the habitat or the environment unhealthy. We make it dirty for the animals and the plants that live here. There's a bee or wasp right there. Remember I talked about them, they live here. Okay, so we mess it up. We mess it up and it's not good, right, for the plants and the animals living here. So how do we make it unhealthy or not good for the animals and the plants? Pollution, and then that means dropping trash. You can see right here, we have all the garbage right here on the ground, not good for the plants and the animals that live here. And then another way, we cut down all the bushes. Now sometimes we can't help but cut down the bushes because we cut down the bushes to build homes, to build stores. It's called development. And when we have to cut down the bushes, take down all the trees, the animals no longer have homes and they have to leave and go looking for new homes. So that's not good for them, right? Another way we can destroy their habitat is by burning it. You know, when you start a fire, all the trees are ruined. So that's not good. So those are things we do to destroy the habitat. Now, God don't want us to destroy the habitat, right? He wants us, He gives us these habitats, and so we should value them. And anything we value, we take good care of it. So what are some things we can do to take care of the habitat? Just the opposite of all the things we talk about that would destroy it. We're not going to drop garbage on the ground. We're not going to start fire. And we're not going to cut down all the trees. As far as possible, we're not going to do that. So boys and girls, you can do your part. As little as you are, you can plant a tree somewhere in your yard. You can plant a flower somewhere in your yard and garden. And that is improving your habitat, making it better. Okay? So anyway, there you have it. This is a pine forest. Come with me now as we explore another habitat. Boys and girls, here we are at another habitat. Right in the back of me, you see what? Water, a body of water. And this is called the sea or the ocean. So we have animals living here. This is the habitat for many animals. Do you know any of these animals? How about a bird? You think a bird lives here? No, a bird would live in the pine forest. How about a raccoon? Again, a raccoon lives in a pine forest. So, what kind of animals live here? Think about all the animals you know that live in the sea. There's sharks, snappers you had at Good Friday, grunt, starfish, seahorses, you know, all of the sea creatures you can think about, they live here in the ocean or the sea. And you may not see underneath the ocean, the sea or the ocean, but there are coral reefs under the ocean, and this is home for many, many of these creatures. And this water is salty, and we know some animals live in here. But then we have some water that is fresh water, and the water comes from the rain or under the ground. And these are your ponds and your lake. They are made from fresh water. And again, we have animals living in the pond or lakes, such as frogs, tadpoles, and even some fish. Now again, boys and girls, we have to take care of this habitat. But again, the action of humans like me and you would destroy the habitat. How do you think we would destroy this habitat? Again, that P word we learned earlier, pollution, where we make it dirty or unhealthy for the animals that live here. We make it the habitat not so clean. Okay, so we put what? Trash, garbage. So when we put trash and garbage in the water, it's not good. It's not good for the habitat. It's not good for the animals that live here, because sometimes they mistake it for food. They may eat it. When they eat it, make them sick, and they may even die. Remember, the habitat provides the animals with the things that they need. Remember those things? Food, air, water, and shelter. So, remember now, we're not going to destroy it by putting garbage. Another way some people destroy it is putting chemicals. Dangerous chemical that could hurt the animals. We're not going to do that. Like bleach, oil. These are not good. So we're going to do our job, our best, to take care of this habitat. Now, boys and girls, let me see how much you have learned. We are going to do a quiz, and I know you're going to do a super job, right? Let's go. Boys and girls, are we ready? Number 1. What is a habitat? A hotel. B, a church. C, a home. Or D, a store. You are correct. It is C, a home. Number 2. What kind of habitat does this picture show? A, lake. B, pine forest. C, ocean. D, hole. You are so smart. The answer is B, pine forest. Number 3. One way we can destroy some habitats is by blank. A, starting a fire. B, cleaning up. C, planting trees. D, protecting them. Super! The answer is starting a fire. Now, number 4. A habitat provides air, food, shelter, and blank. A, clothes. B, toys. C, candies. D, water. What is the answer? You think you get it? Yes, it is water. And finally, number 5. What kind of habitat does this picture show? A, nest. B, pine forest. C, ocean. Or D, hole. What is the answer? The answer is ocean. Boys and girls, you did a marvelous job. Very, very, very good. Did you enjoy exploring today? Now remember, God has blessed us with this beautiful environment, right? He's blessed us with all the habitats we learned about today. And so we value God and what He has given us. And we value our habitats. Means that all of us will do our part to protect our habitats and to care for them.